Okay, now just see the significance of this topic with respect to your UPSC preliminary examination. Now in 2023, that is in the recent year, the question was been asked, consider the following dynasties: Hoysalas, Gadwala, Kakatiya, Yadava. How many of the above dynasties established their king does in early 8th century? Early 8th century. So if it is Kakatiya, okay, it is a contemporary of Gupta, like what we saw. Okay, now not necessary it would be completely from the Gupta period. Some dynasties are from the initial phase of the Gupta period. Some dynasties are of the post-Gupta period. Okay, so here in this case, the point to be noted here is that you should know, you should access the eventual flow. Okay, you should access the eventual flow of this historical story. Okay, so here the Hoysalas, Gadwalas and Yadava would be the followers, okay, after the Gupta period, okay, or during the post-Gupta period. Okay, now how many of the above dynasties are right from the 8th century? So if we are studying the initial phase of the Gupta period, we are at 320 to 330 AD. Okay, and we would be discussing only up till 550 AD. So there is no short of Hoysalas, Gadwala and Yadava. Okay, but yes, in the future we would be seeing all these people, all these dynasties, sorry. Okay, and let's move forward. Okay, now in 2020 the question was, with reference to the period of the Gupta dynasty in ancient India, see, with reference to the period, they are asking about the period of Gupta dynasty in ancient India, the towns Ghantashala, Kaduna and Chaul were known as. So again, the question is on the concept or the terminologies that are present in the historical texts. Okay, so you should know the Sanskrit, the Prakrit and the Pali words which are present in the NCERTs especially. Now, whatever we are discussing in these sessions, I am making sure that all of your NCERT, considering the national board ka NCERT as well as the Tamil Nadu board, is being done on a comprehensive way. Beyond that, I am also trying to include other ancient India's ka history ka references. Okay, now see, you need to know about this. We'll come on these topics, okay, when we would be discussing about the Gupta's economy. Okay, now this question was been asked in 2021. With reference to the history of ancient India, which of the following statements are correct? Mitakshara was the civil law for the upper caste and Dayabhaga was the civil law for the lower caste. So again the terms and the terminologies, right? After that, the Mitakshara system, in the Mitakshara system, it is said that the son can claim the right to property during the lifetime of the father, whereas in Dayabhaga system, okay, Dayabhaga system, it is only after the death of the father that son can claim. Okay, now see the difference. Okay, there is a difference between the law, the system that they followed, the Gupta period followed. Now we have seen the law system or some of the rules that Artha Shastra presented during the Mauryan period. Now the Gupta period's ka law and system would be encapsulated in the Smritis, okay, in the Puranas. Okay, so we'll come on it as and when we would be discussing. Okay, so you just need to know what you need to access while studying the Gupta period. Okay, now Mitakshara system deals with the matters related to the property held by male members only of the family, whereas Dayabhaga system deals with the matters related to the property held by both male and female. So Dayabhaga consists of the rules that are applicable on the male and the female, and Mitakshara system consists of the rules that are applicable only on the male members of the family. Okay, so here you need to know the difference between the Mitakshara and the Dayabhaga system. Okay, now if you don't know this system, it might sound very difficult for you, but once you come to know, if you read those texts, it's quite easy, it's quite graspable for you. Okay, now let us see The another question. Now, I have purposely taken the recent questions only, okay, because here you should understand what are the present trends that UPSC is keeping. Because see, before 2018 or before 2017, there were very general questions. Or yes, they were tricky, not that general too, they were tricky, but they were at least could be solved through elimination technique. But once you move after 2019, especially after 2022, you will find that these questions would be in such a way that they won't be able to solve through the elimination technique. You should know exactly the answer of the statement, and then only you can solve those questions. Otherwise, your question goes in the negatives. Okay, so these are some of the loopholes which you need to avoid whenever you are attempting any kind of questions. Okay, so let us see the 2021 ka preliminary question. From the decline of the Gupta until the rise of the Harshavardhana in the early 7th century, which of the following kingdoms were holding the power in the northern India? So again, the contemporary dynasties or the contemporary powers are being asked. Okay, so again, the Guptas of the Magad. Were Guptas of the Magad? Yes. Okay, after that, the Parmaras of the Malwa. Okay, Pushyabhutis of Thanesar, Mokharis of the Kannauj, Yadavas of Devgari, and Maitrakas of Vallabhi. So the question is very simple, actually very simple, but only simple if you know exact contemporary periods, exact geographical locations of these regions, and which dynasties ruled which place. Okay, actually the question is very simple. Okay, now if you see the first option, it is quite friendly for you. Why? Because you have done up till Gupta period, or you are on the way to do the Gupta period. That is why you know where did Gupta belong from. Okay, but you don't know about all these things. So for this, you need to understand the background story, okay, background history, okay. Now, as this question is talking about the 8th to 9th century, or sorry, 7th century, so it's but obvious that it is after the post-Gupta period, okay. Now, let us study mapping. So, every time we first go eventually, then we go through the mapping, and then we catch our main platter. Okay, so that it would be very easy to imagine, it would be very easy to go during that period. And this is only the way you can learn the stories, like as if they are tales and you are hearing it from your one of the family member. Okay, so consider history in that way, you will find very interesting. Okay, so yes, so this is the map of the 4th century. Okay, now, and this is the letter map. Okay, so see the area that is being conquered by the Gupta Empire. Now, firstly, they would be concentrating upon the northwest region. Now, why they are concentrating upon the north region? If you remember any of our discussion, previous discussion, we had discussed about the Uttarapatha. The Uttarapatha. The Uttarapatha. Okay, now what was Uttarapatha? Uttarapatha connected Magadha to the Silk Route, right? Now, can you analyze why did they concentrated upon the northwestern region? The reason for this is very simple, because they need to concentrate upon the trade ties that they had with the Roman Empire or Byzantine Empire. Okay, in some of the texts it's considered as a Roman Empire, in some of the text it is being considered as a Byzantine Empire. Okay, now if you see that the Uttarapatha was the major trading route. Okay, it was major trading route. Now you will ask, ma'am, what about the Dakshin Path which we studied during the Mauryan Empire, right? So here I would like to again recall you that with the Dakshin Path, like when we were dwelling in during the post-Mauryan period, we had seen that there were alliances or there were good relations of northern dynasties with the southern dynasties. Okay, and that is why we saw that there were direct connections. And secondly, the Ashoka, during the reign of Ashoka, we see that the Ashoka had captured near about till the Chola, Chera and Pandya. And that is why you will see that the Dakshin path was completely accessible for the Mauryan people. But during the Gupta's period, as and when the Mauryan period or the Mauryan Empire declined, okay, and it is being said that during the Gupta period, that the connections were not that stronger with the southern and the Deccan regions. Okay, now why is this so? Now this is because there were major cultural differences between the north and the south. Now you will ask why, ma'am, why there were cultural differences? Because if we see, there were also matrimonial alliances between the Kakatiya dynasty and the Gupta kings, right? We have seen in the past lecture. But why still there were cultural differences? Now the story goes back to the history again. Okay, now who were these Guptas? How they were culturally different from that of the Deccan people and the southern people. And still they had the marital alliances. What might be the reason behind it? Now, if you go to the backstory, you will understand that this Gupta people were the people who used to be assisting the Kushanas. Now, this has been evident through a number of literary sources. Okay, it is said that the Guptas assisted Kushanas. And it was only after the decline of the Kushan Empire that Gupta succeeded the Kushanas. And according to the inscription, okay, now when the poet Harisena, now the poet Harisena is a contemporary or the court poet during the Chandragupta II. Okay, so the court poet Harisena says that the Guptas were the successors, okay, of the Kushanas. After Kushanas, it were Guptas who succeeded directly the empire. Okay, now this is written in the inscription. And this inscription talks about, now this is Allahabad inscription, okay. This is Allahabad inscription which talks about the poet, court poet Harisena. And Harisena was a court poet during Chandragupta II. Now who is Chandragupta II? He is a son of Samudragupta, right? And who is the Samudragupta? The second major ruler of the Gupta period. And Samudragupta is again the child of Chandragupta I. Now, Chandragupta I was considered as a major ruler or the first major ruler of the Gupta period. Now, if we go biologically, if we go hierarchically, okay, Chandragupta I is not the forming or the founder of the Gupta, but he is considered as a major founder, okay, not the initial founder. Now, according to some of the inscription, it is also said that, now it is said by the Harisena only, that Sri Gupta was the actual founder of the Gupta period or of the Gupta Empire, and after that it was Chandragupta I. But we have seen in the last lecture that Chandragupta I had major expansionary vision. He had expansionary vision and he had conquered major parts of the Gujarat, Malwa and the northwestern region, and that is why he is considered as the major founder of the Gupta period. But if we see biologically, if we see hierarchically, the Sri Gupta would be the initial founder. But if the question asks you that who is the major founder, the major founder is the Chandragupta I. Okay, if the question asks about the who is the founder, okay, initial founder of the Gupta period, then the answer would be Sri Gupta. Okay, please note this very well. Okay, now if we consider if we compare the Mauryan period, then who is the founder? Chandragupta Maurya is the founder. Okay, and here also the major founder would be Chandragupta only, but the original founder, okay, original founder is Sri Gupta. Fine. I hope you don't get confused in this scenario. Fine. Now, as we see that the Gupta period majorly, or the Gupta expansion majorly focused on the northwestern India. Okay, firstly, and they had major ties with the Roman people or Byzantine Empire. Now, after that, we also see that there were major development of art and architecture over this central India. Okay, and this was also called as Madhya Desha. It was also called as Madhya Desha. Madhya Desha or Madhya Desa. In Dravidian, Madhya Desha. Okay, and in normal language, Madhya Desa. Okay, so this was called as the Madhya Desa, and here you will see the major development of art and architecture over here. Of course, this region is also favored by the art and architecture, but here the major art and architecture would be influenced by the Roman style. Okay, and here it was through the Mathura style. Now this is Mathura style and this is Roman style, or what we call it as a Indo-Greek style. Indo-Greek or Gandhara, whatever you say. Okay, so here if you will see the development of art and architecture, and secondly the coins that we got, okay, the golden coins that we got were right after the Kushan period, and they were majorly on the Silk Route. Okay, and you will see that major flourishment of the Gupta period took due to the Uttarapatha. Now when we come at the later stage, we'll see that the area would be reduced right from the Indus. Okay, now before that it would be beyond the present Pakistan, but the later period they would be majorly focusing the eastern coast. Okay, and see here, during the initial phase of the Gupta period, the Nepal was also being included. Okay, but when you will see that in the later period, the Nepal would be discarded from this. Okay, but why? Because Chandragupta I was one person who had tied the marital knot with the princess of Nepal, Lichavi princess. Okay, and after that you will see that during the Chandragupta II or during the Skandagupta, okay, they would be having the marital alliances with the Vakataka, and that is why you will see that they are moving towards the Deccan Plateau. Okay, so this is the overall scenario which we had seen up till now. Now let us have a deeper view